Hello and welcome to the Voodoo Premium video for Monday, November 25th. This is David, and I just finished the free video where we noted just a couple of things really quickly. First of all, of course, the new all-time high registered this morning in the S&P 500. Of course, also reminding us that we moved back above this Voodoo fire line here late last week. And so for a bunch of reasons, I'm going to go ahead and favor the upside so long as we do hold that Voodoo fire line. Tomorrow night, we'll in the Elliott Wave dispatch video, we'll update some of the Elliott Wave reasons to be cautiously optimistic up here. Of course, recognizing that there are still some Elliott Wave patterns that could drop us back below the lows from the Friday before last before recovering. But I think right now the what we're seeing is encouraging that that with or without that dip, that we have further go to the upside without having to visit some of the much lower levels that we've been talking about in prior weeks before continuing upwards. And then for the immediate time frame, there are a few things that I have my eyes on here. One of which, as I said, is that holding the fire line would encourage me to think that we could be going directly up. Now, in these videos, right, where we focus more on the Voodoo lines themselves, and of course from there the fire line stands out pretty clearly, and right, some Fibonacci concepts as well. Notice that that even if we were to take another leg down from this swing high right into the close, if our counter trend moves are most frequently going to have sort of equal legs to the downside, if we're not coming back to below the low from the Friday before last and just coming back down a little bit in an ongoing move up from that low, then holding that that fire line would be pretty good, right? Just kind of equal legs down. If we bounce a little more first, equal legs down would end even further above the fire line. If it needs to dip a little bit further first, then we want to see it come back above that fire line to show that this may have just been one of those sort of counter trend wiggles in an ongoing up move. Now, building off that equal legs idea, if we look at smaller time frames and just look at the shape of this move from the all-time high down to the low of the day, right? Just measuring this initial drop and then measuring down from the high of the largest bounce prior to the low of the day. The bounce from the low of the day was marginally larger, but you know, while I would prefer for the counter trend move, it's going to be most obvious if they're equal legs to the downside. The one where the move where the second leg is 127.2% of the initial leg is also one that we typically associate more with counter trend moves than with trend moves. Combine that with the fact that right at the end of the day, we finally got back above this swing low. That helps provide at least a little bit of encouragement that this was a counter trend move down. That's more an Elliott Wave observation than we typically do in these videos, but since it's relevant on small time frames and we want to put it out there ahead of tomorrow, just wrapping up today's action, I feel it's worth noting. Of course, in this move up from the low of the day, we did talk in the room, both live and with some alerts, about buying this on the way back up. Stop in the futures below the low of the day. I took half off late in the day just because I like to have some risk off taken before before the evening session. But again, I'm at least cautiously optimistic that we head up. So the one last thing to layer into this, right, is that while the voodoo lines, the classic voodoo lines that we were looking at a minute ago, are encouraging to the upside, right? The Voodoo roadmap would really want to see us get above this Voodoo skyline. Still hasn't been touched to start to show that we're building a roadmap upwards away from the Voodoo fire line, and that's still a good bit up there. So while one thing that we can do to get shorter time frame encouragement is to turn on these Voodoo line moguls. Those are the minor sort of fifth degree levels. And you can see right at the end of the day, we paused at a mogul, just shy of this upper mogul at the early morning new all-time high, broke below the lower mogul, but trying to climb back above. So while that would give us some short-term encouragement, the other thing that we can look at for a roadmap is going to be these micro voodoo lines. And in this case, I'm going to look at those from the standpoint of the futures. If we come in and bring them up, and so for the futures, we'll look at the micro voodoo line alternate levels. Those are the ones that I'm liking, and this can provide some guidance here overnight. You can see that that here we on what was this last Wednesday tested and held the Voodoo fire line. Tried to get below it pre-market here on Tuesday as well, right? And this holding that fire line level sets up a bullish roadmap upwards. And since these are smaller degree patterns for smaller time frames, while it would be easier because these are relatively small to turn back down again and erase the bullish roadmap for the moment up from that fire line level, you can see we've worked our way above one snow line here at 59.56 and 3/4. Again, in the ES, not the cash S&P. And then while down from the all-time high, dipped modestly below this 59.98 level, we closed above it. So particularly, so long as we can hold above this 59.98 level, let's consider that this could be directly up. The next important level to get above to look sort of directly up will be this 60.65 level. That's still a good bit above us. Even if we do head up there to test it, it could be a day or two before we do. But these are the levels I'm watching for now. After the close, we have climbed up modestly. So while we could come back down and turn back up, I think not a whole lot to fuss about so long as this 59.98 59.98 quarter level holds. So those are things I'll be watching into tomorrow, trying to get a feel for this. Like I said, cautiously bullish. So we want to see most of these indications continue to favor more upside. And I'll be back with you tomorrow night for an Elliott Wave dispatch, as well as live with y'all in the room tomorrow. Neil has the next set of videos on Wednesday. And until I see you next, as always, good trading.